Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast live. And this is a special Thursday night edition. Wasn't expecting to do this, but then it occurred to me we got a big fight tomorrow night, so got to talk about it. Let's go. Yes. So as you see from the thumbnail there, we only got one topic tonight. It's not going to be our normal marathon 4-topic show. We're not doing all that, but I definitely wanted to make sure that I went live and got on here and talked to you guys about this Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. I keep wanting to say Chris Paul, man. That shows you how much basketball we talk on this channel. But no, Jake Paul. And so we'll get to that in a few minutes. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, give it a couple, and see if we get a little bit more traffic in the chat, and then we'll go ahead and get that started. But in the interim, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. And one of the things I can't wait for is to see this fight tomorrow night. It's going to be on Netflix, and the main card starts at 8 Eastern time. I think the fight is going to be from Texas, because Texas is one of the few states that were going to sanction this thing. Mike Tyson, obviously, was he 59 years old, and Jake Paul, I think, is 27, I believe. So yeah, it's it's going to be an interesting one, man. But we don't talk a whole ton of boxing, here on the channel. But if you go back through the channel and look at some of the shows we did, we do talk boxing from time to time when there's a big event going on or there's something big going on in the boxing worldwide, because this is not just a football and basketball channel, right? It's a sports channel. And so boxing, even though UFC is kind of, I guess, I want to say surpassed it in terms of mainstream relevance in America, in our sporting landscape, boxing is still huge. Why is boxing still huge? Because when there's a big fight, people will stop and watch it. I mean, if you ask me, some of these pay-per-view prices are exorbitant, which is why you see a subscription-based service like DAZN kind of working well. I think where you pay $10 or $12 a month or something like that, and then you can watch all the fights. And I believe you get whatever pay-per-views DAZN is airing, you get to watch those. You don't have to pay extra for them. But Showtime is now pulled out of the boxing game. HBO pulled out of the boxing game. So it's tough, man. Boxing is not what it used to be, although there's still some really elite fighters. And again, when there is a huge fight, it brings the sports world to a stop, and people want to see it when there's a huge name and a huge fight. Obviously, in America here, we want to see huge American fighters, but it's a lot of the big time American fighters are younger guys now, and they're on the come up in terms of making a name for themselves, etc. There's no American fighter that's as big as, say, a Floyd Mayweather, right? Terrence Crawford is one of the best fighters in the world. He's an American, but he doesn't have he doesn't hold the weight in the boxing world the same way that a Floyd Mayweather did, right? He's not that guy. He's just a machine. He goes out there. He's a technician, a craftsman. He's also got knockout power. He's won championships across multiple weight classes, but he doesn't have the it factor that a Floyd Mayweather had, that a Sugar Ray Leonard had, going back further, Muhammad Ali had. Like, you have to have the it factor, right? And not really many American fighters at this time have that. So I guess that's kind of why this Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing is such a big deal. So we know Jake Paul is in 2020, he made his professional debut. And let me say this, he's a YouTuber, he's an influencer, he's got a lot of money and all that. Hold on one second, there's G in the chat. What's up, G? I did send you an invite, man. Check your email and hop in here, man. But yeah, so you look at a guy like Jake Paul. He is an Jake Paul, he's an influencer. He's got a lot of fan power behind him, and I think his brother Logan Paul's in the WWE, and he's doing the boxing thing, right? Personally, I don't really like the whole celebrity boxing thing, but I do love boxing. So if it brings eyes to the sport, I guess it can't be all bad. And Jake Paul has brought eyes to the sport. Now, the question is, how seriously do people take it? We know that he takes it seriously. He, for all intents and purposes, he does train properly. He supposedly spars against real fighters in the gym and all that. It's not that serious. What's good, bro? Yes, I am live. Tap in and hit that like and subscribe, man. Appreciate you. So we have where was I? Yeah, so Jake Paul, for everything that's been reported, he really does take it seriously, but he's never going to be a guy, I don't think, that's going to be any real contender or would have a chance to really beat a real quality fighter, right? The only real fighter he's fought up to this point was Tyson Fury's brother, and he lost that via split decision. So, like, you got to wonder, he gets in here against Mike Tyson. I think the only chance he has is that Mike Tyson is considerably older than him, right? So anyway, Jake Paul, 10-1. He has one loss on his record against the aforementioned, I can't even remember his name, but Tyson Fury's little brother. Tyson Fury's little brother. So Tyson Fury's little brother beat him. And that's not even like a quality high level heavyweight, right? That's just a guy who is a professional boxer, a good professional boxer, but nothing special. So you look at it and you say, well, Jake Paul, as much as work you put in, that's respectable, that's commendable, but, I don't see it. And so Jake Paul's thing is now, I guess at this point, I don't think he's going to be able to get a championship, or he's not going to be able to command a fight with any of the top dogs, because I think the top dogs will all dismantle him across whatever weight class it is. But I think now his thing is just, again, to continue with his brand and to make as much money as possible doing this. And I guess there's something to be said for that, right? And so now you've got this big one, Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, formerly known as Iron Mike Tyson, the youngest fighter ever to win heavyweight championship of the world. He was 20 years old. Yeah, it's not that serious. I agree. Mike Tyson was an absolute monster in his prime. And they say that the last thing to go on a fighter, especially a power puncher, is the power, right? The punch. Now, the stamina decreases as you age, right? The reflexes slow down considerably as you age. You might see stuff coming, but not be able to get out of the way quite as fast. You might see stuff coming, but might not be able to counter as fast. I think Tyson is making like 20 million for this fight. So I'm not sure, G. I'm not sure. Yo, man, check your email and hop on. I sent you the invite. But anyway, I think Tyson is scheduled to make 20 mil for this fight. So, but I mean, Jake Paul is the big name in this thing, right? He's the younger guy. He's the popular guy. He's a social media influencer and all that. So I think Mike was like, look, I can make 20 mil and I probably could take this guy. So there's that, right? So anyway, you watch this thing and you're saying, okay, is this for show? Is this fugazi? Is this going to be real? And so I was listening to a lot of Roy Jones Jr. stuff today. Obviously, Roy Jones Jr. fought Mike Tyson in an exhibition a couple of years ago. And it's so funny how he was saying, like, one of the things he was saying is, Mike Tyson, he says, you ever had a pit bull puppy and you try to train him and you try to do all that, but then when you bring him around other dogs, they just lose it, or you bring them around people they don't know or kids they don't know, they just lose it. And people say, oh, that's just how they are. Yeah, that's just how they are. It's in their genes. They don't know how to behave. They don't know how to play, right? So that's what he said. Mike Tyson is like, he's like a pit bull. He doesn't know how to play. And so he was talking about a couple of years ago when he and Tyson had the exhibition match, or maybe 4 years ago during COVID when they had the exhibition match. And he's like, when Tyson hit him, he was like, whoa, he didn't know. So let's hear what Roy Jones Jr., one of the greatest fighters of all time in his own right, had to say about the Tyson exhibition match. And this is when he was on, he was on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, and he was giving his commentary on it. So let's check this out and we'll come back and talk about it some more.
Hold on, before you start out, G, let me say this. I was worried.
I was too.
Okay, go ahead. All right, we good? We was on the same sheet of music. This dude over here, man, 20 pounds heavier than me. He really heavier than that to me, but he's 20 pounds heavier than me. He ain't screwed on tight. You don't know what he might come in here and do. Then they say, yo, that's smoking weed before you come out there. I'm like, oh, no. You don't know what you might have to do. You understand me? You don't know what might happen. So when I heard about it, I said, listen, y'all can't be out there trying to kill each other. What else do he know?
That's all he know.
What else do he know? If he trying to hit you, like he gonna be trying to kill you. That's all he know. So first time he hit me in the chest, I feel like a horse that keep myself. if I ain't had a good, like, Mama, you sure I should have did this? How this dude still can punch? I ain't think he punched like this still. You feel me? I think he slowed down. Nah, bro. I ain't slowed down a lick. Then I get in front of him and I see him doing all this. I say, oh, I'm gonna kill that. I start throwing punches. He slipped all of them. Wait a minute. At 54, he's still that fast?
He's still slipping them?
You feel me? He's still slipping all my stuff. And I'm right now, because I got to be right just in case he get wrong and we going to get wrong together. You feel me? I'm thinking, you understand me? But, man, this dude is still fast as I don't know what. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wow. He fast here and he punched like here. Then, I think I hit him with a left hook or something. We got close and he took his glove and ran the lace up my face. I said, dirty son of a son. I see you, Mike. I see you still got game. All right, I'm good. They say you gonna do it again? Nah, I ain't doing it no more, because if you do it again, it's gonna get bad. You know what I'm saying? Because this dude, first of all, he's still too strong. He still got all his old tricks, and he much harder to hit than I ever thought he would have been. You understand me? That's what was surprising to me. I thought for sure. He said, listen, I teach guys. A man with his hand this close to his face, you supposed to kill him. And I'm thinking, he ain't got to jam my hands too fast. Man, Mike was flipping my stuff so quick. I was like, okay, I see why you Mike Tyson. I got you.
I remember the interview afterwards, and you looking at him like, come on, bro, we ain't doing this again.
No more. I my chip was so for 3 days. No, bro. I'm through with them days. I ain't got no good. Hey, you know how you feel after you go back and work out for it or play a game or two, you be like, man, I'm through with them days, bro.
Yeah.
I'm through with that. I ain't supposed to be feeling like this no more. My reels hurting 3 and 3 and 4. Every time I lay, I gotta crab myself. Nah, bro.
So, Roy Jones Jr., you can hear he had a lot to say there. Before we talk about that, let's take a quick break and let me run this for you. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. So listen, I appreciate everybody who's in here in the chat. Thanks so much for that. Drop your name in the chat and where you're from. I appreciate it. I definitely see some new faces in there, so I appreciate that. Jeet Kune Do and Karate. Yeah, you definitely did just see Mike Tyson pimp slap Jake Paul on the stage. I guess Tyson was walking up to do his weigh-in. I didn't see the whole thing, but Jake Paul hopped up on the stage. Like, I think we all know, like, you don't surprise crazy people, right? Because you don't know the reaction that you're going to get. And he found out what the reaction was. Mike Tyson slapped him in the face. But the crazy thing was, after he slapped him, he immediately took a step back and got his hands up in case it started going wild. He got into his fighting stance. And I was like, uh-oh. So, you know, Mike Tyson, he very much appears to be ready. But yeah, back to Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr., I thought it was so interesting because he made it clear, like, Tyson could still punch, and he was, you know, he said he got hit in the body and it felt like he got kicked by a mule. So like they always say, you know, the power is the last thing to go on a great fighter. So Tyson can still hit you. And you see that when you watch his little training videos that he's been doing and such for this fight. And so you hear Roy Jones Jr. saying that. Then you hear him talking about the peekaboo style when he was talking about if you watch the video on All the Smoke. I didn't know if I could use it for copyright reasons, so I didn't have it. But when he was talking about when a guy has his hands like this, if you remember, if you're a boxing person and you remember Mike Tyson, he would always do the peekaboo style. This is what he did, right? And then he talks about how Tyson was slipping everything that Roy Jones was going. So he's here and he's slipping all the punches, and Roy Jones is like, he was so shocked that Mike Tyson was still that fast, which is crazy because at the time they fought, Mike Tyson was 54 years old, right? So he's 59 years old for the fight tomorrow night. And I'm looking at this thing, and one of the biggest things I was thinking about was oftentimes reflexes, whether it's the reflex to return fire when somebody throws a punch at you, or the reflex to get out of the way and slip a punch when somebody is on offense against you in terms of your defensive performance. And it's crazy because a lot of times the great fighters, when they age, they say they can still see the punches coming. They just can't get out of the way in time because their reflexes aren't where they used to be. And so we watch Mike Tyson training for this fight, and you see now, obviously this is just his trainer, not a world-class fighter, but you see he's still got one of the things he was well known for when he was younger is that head movement, right? He was always very good. Now it helps that he's a short guy to start with, but he always had elite head movement, right? And so you're watching how he's doing it. And at 59, it's still impressive that he can move that way. He's got fast combos. You can see he can go to the body. And if he comes upstairs and lands, and then Mike Tyson always had outstanding footwork, right? His angles are good. The way he gets out of the way of punches, the way he quickly repositions to deliver power punches from other angles is really, top flight. Obviously, this guy was the world champion and the youngest ever world champion for a reason. Now, people will comment on the era that he fought in and say that he didn't have the greatest of competition. And that's true. That is true. But I mean, he was still demolishing just about everybody he fought, right? Now, Holyfield was a monster and they had some epic wars. But I always say that had Holyfield fought that younger Tyson, I think he would have got dismantled. Tyson, when he went to jail and came back, he was a different dude. Like, he was still winning fights, but he was a different dude. I think that the lack of discipline in training is what really got him. Like, he'll tell you he wasn't properly training when he fought Buster Douglas, right? He wasn't properly training. He thought he was just going to go over there, lay the dude down, and that was going to be it, right? But obviously, Buster Douglas, and don't get me wrong, if you go back and watch that fight, Mike Tyson talks about it in his one-man show, but if you go back and watch it, Buster Douglas, he had some things go his way in that fight. He got a long count, or Mike Tyson would have knocked him out as well. But, Mike Tyson he was a thing to behold in his era, right? It was always said, I'm 46, right? So Mike Tyson was in his heyday when I was in grade school. And it was always said, like, when a Tyson fight came on, people would get pissed because they would pay the money for the fight and the fight would start. And for whatever reason, they'd get up, go get something to drink or go to the bathroom or whatever. And Mike Tyson knocked out his opponent. So they'd be pissed off, right? And back then, you weren't able to like rewind live TV or whatever. So unless you were like recording it on the VCR, then, you missed that great moment. But, you watching that. What's up, Ron Jones? Man, get off Facebook, get on YouTube, click the like and subscribe, man. Watch the show. Anyway, so, it was always talked about that Mike Tyson would waste a lot of people's money with how quickly he would dispose of the opposition. So you watch him and, I've been watching his training for this fight kind of since it was announced, and I'm really surprised that he can still move the way he can. I also saw something here. He was, again, he's 59, and he was running sprints in preparation for this fight. So I'm like, that's crazy. Now, at the same time, the state of Texas, they sanctioned the fight, but they sanctioned it kind of under different rules, right? What they did was, instead of the normal 10-ounce gloves utilized by heavyweight fighters, and I don't know if this is for the benefit of Jake Paul or for the benefit of Mike Tyson, instead of normal 10-ounce gloves, they're using 14-ounce gloves. And instead of 10 or 12 3-minute rounds, they're going 8 2-minute rounds. And again, I think the big part there is at 59 years old, Mike Tyson still has the power. He may still be able to move, but the stamina is going to be problematic, right? Holyfield headbutted Tyson in those fights. That's why he snapped. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt it's not that serious. Absolutely. If you go back and watch it, you will see that as well. And Mike Tyson, he complained to the referee multiple times throughout that fight. And real quick, while we do that, I see we got plenty of people in the chat. I appreciate you all stopping in. Please make sure you hit that like and subscribe on YouTube. Don't hit it on Facebook. Hit like and subscribe on the actual YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. The more likes we get, the more it pushes the show and the channel and the content out to more people. Anyway, you hear Mike Tyson. If you watch, you can see him constantly complaining to the referee. And Holyfield, man, he's known as a dirty fighter. He's not Tyson is not the only person that Holyfield was consistently headbutting. Now, am I advocating for Mike Tyson biting off a chunk of his ear? No, absolutely not. But the fact of the matter is, like, when you push and push and push and push somebody, eventually most people will snap. It takes a lot for that not to happen, right? And so, I guess Holyfield got what he was asking for, right? He kept butting him over and over. Well, he received this comeuppance, right? So anyway, yeah, when you watch Mike Tyson, as we did just there, we saw he still got the movement. So I would say when it comes to Jake Paul, if he wants an opportunity to win this fight, and we can see him training here, so it's kind of weird. Before I get to what he would have to do to win this fight, I'm not sure how he did. I think there's only one way he can do it. He doesn't look to have elite movement. He doesn't look to have elite power. I mean, he's a big guy, but I don't think he's got the power to deal with Tyson. Tyson obviously is used to getting hit, even though he hasn't been in a professional fight for a long time. You know, I'm sure he spars regularly, but yeah, I don't know that Jake Paul has the power to put Mike Tyson down. I don't know if he can deal with the speed and the combinations. Jake Paul doesn't look to have the hand speed. He does not look to have the foot speed. And if you look at that clip, and I'll play it one more time, it doesn't even look like he's got the best sparring partners. For somebody with that much money, I would try to have the best sparring partners possible that I could have for this fight to prepare me. I would have tried to find someone who can do their best job imitating Mike Tyson, as I said, with the peekaboo style, with the head movement, et cetera, because you have to be prepared for what this guy is going to bring you. And so I'm looking and I'm like, man, I just don't see it. I don't see Jake Paul having the power. I don't see him having the hand speed. I don't see him having the foot speed. I don't see him having the movement. He's not a guy who appears to be on his toes or on the balls of his feet. So he doesn't look like if you watched a Dmitry Bivol about a month ago against Arthur Beterbiev, right? About a month ago. And you saw Bivol, he pops in, he lands, he pops back out, in and out, constant movement, in and out. Okay, no doubt. My main man, Bruce, was good. Bruce is sure. Bruce was popping, man. Credit due to my main man, Bruce. Got to give a shout. Be more Bruce. He's definitely the one who had me. I wasn't even going to do this because I wasn't even thinking about it. We were doing the live show the other night, our normal Wednesday night live, and Bruce was like, yo, Bruce. That's what he says to me. He says, Bruce, we got to make sure we get on and talk about this Tyson Jake Paul fight before it happens. So shout out, Bruce. I appreciate it, man. There is your credit for sparking this topic. I appreciate you, bro. But yeah, Dmitry Bivol. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a technician. He's been fighting since he's a kid. He came up in that Russian amateur system, so he's had real boxing training. This is not something he picked up late in life. But the point I'm trying to make is you watch him. That's how he dealt with a guy with the power of an Artur Beterbiev, right? He was in and out. Pop him, try to get back out, stay on his bicycle, keep moving. And I don't see Jake Paul being able to do that. Not necessarily because he doesn't have the stamina. He just doesn't look like he has the technique and the skill to be able to do it, right? So, I don't see that. So I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, how can Jake Paul win this fight, right? Because I truly believe Mike Tyson, he's got his head movements too good. His combinations are too good. He still has power. He still has footwork. He's got all the things. At the end of the day, this guy's still a former heavyweight champion. And you can see from what we showed there that he's still got some stuff left. Jake Paul, I don't see anything. So how can Jake Paul win this fight? Jake Paul has to be on his bicycle for the first 3 rounds. After that, I think 59 years old really starts to play a major role and really starts to kick in on Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson has to chase Jake Paul around the ring after 3 rounds, Jake Paul is going to really have a chance to tire him out and then step back in and start unloading punches at a point where Tyson will be too tired to be able to effectively defend or effectively move. Now, if Tyson can get inside early, then Jake Paul's in big trouble. And we know that, yes, Steve, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that right before I got on live here. Tyson did slap Jake Paul at the weigh-in. I thought that was pretty funny. And I was wondering when I saw it, I'm like, is this for publicity? But I didn't think it was. Like, Tyson was standing up there. Well, he walked up, and then Jake Paul jumps up on the stage. And, like I was saying earlier, you don't just jump out on people because you never know how they'll react, right? Especially someone who has elite hand skills like Mike Tyson, right? Do you really think that's a smart move to make? But, he got what he got for it. But yeah, Jake Paul is going to have to take a page out of Canelo Alvarez's book when he fought Gennady Golovkin in the first fight, right? If you go back and watch that, he was Steve, you're a fool. Yeah, he might have said that for real. But if you go back and watch Canelo Triple G1, you can see Canelo would try to pop in, land something, maybe get off a combination, and then he would hop right back out and he'd be on his bike. And Canelo was moving. And that's kind of what, now don't get me wrong, I think that they robbed Triple G by giving Canelo that draw. I think that Triple G won that fight close because, Canelo was just, running most of the fight. So anyway, but the point is, that is the method that Jake Paul needs to employ if he wants a chance of beating Mike Tyson. But I think, this is me personally, if you're Mike Tyson, go to the body first. I think if you destroy Jake Paul's body, then you could just go upstairs after that. But I think you got to bring those arms down. And Tyson, we know he's one of the most vicious punchers we've ever seen. And if he goes ahead and he starts really letting off to the body, we heard Roy Jones Jr. talking about, when Mike Tyson hit him to the body, and Roy Jones Jr. is one of the greatest fighters we've ever seen. We heard him talking about Tyson hit him to the body, and it felt like he got kicked by a mule. So if Roy Jones Jr. couldn't deal with that, I have a hard time believing that Jake Paul can. So if Tyson can stay disciplined, stay calm, and not rush it, just attack to the body. And think about it, we've seen Tyson, he's one of the best body head combination punchers we've ever seen, right? He is vicious in terms of, he's got the bolo punch where he goes to the ribs or the kidney, and then he comes right back up top with the same hand with a hook, right? So that bolo is vicious, and we've seen him do that constantly throughout the years. That was a deadly punch. He's got the uppercut right through the guard, but he's got to get inside. But I don't think that it's going to be that difficult for him to do because, again, Jake Paul, he's not a real fighter, because if he was, guess what he would do? He would be sticking that jab in Mike Tyson's face all night long. I don't think he's going to be able to do that, right? You have to be able to pump that jab. At the very least, make Mike Tyson use that head movement, right? So if you're pumping out that jab, Mike Tyson is constantly moving the head. And if you time it right, you can catch him with a hook on the head movement, right? Now, of course, that sounds easy. Adam Ben Salah, the time, it's tomorrow night. It's going to be, the main card starts at 8. They haven't announced what time is the main event. It's going to depend on the previous fights. So we don't know what time the ring walk is, but the main card is 8 p.m. It's on Netflix. Real quick, anybody who's in the chat, if you haven't already, please go ahead, click that like and subscribe and that notification bell. Subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you checking in. The more likes we have, the more YouTube pushes out the video. We got the algorithm, right? Yeah, Steve, the fight is actually tomorrow night. That's why I'm doing this show tonight. I thought it was Saturday night, but really Netflix was smart to do that because they don't want to put it up against college football, right? Which makes sense. So yeah, this should be huge though. But yeah, back to what I was saying. If you're Jake Paul and you're a real fighter, you would be pumping that jab in Tyson's face. Pump the jab. And then you time it up and you pump the jab. And then when he uses the head movement, you probably could catch him with a hook right on top of the head over the top, right? And so that's what you would do. But Jake Paul doesn't appear to me to have those skills. So I don't know what he's going to do. I'm not saying that he doesn't take fighting seriously. I believe he takes the training seriously from all the reporting I've heard and all the stuff I've heard from Chris Mannix, who is a respected boxing writer. And he has a podcast with former middleweight champion Sergio Mora. Chris Mannix says he takes the training seriously. We've never heard that Jake Paul doesn't, but I just don't think he has the skills. So again, in order for him to win this fight, in my estimation, he's got to be on his bike. He's got to tire Mike Tyson out for the first 3 rounds, and then he should be able to step inside within reason, not too close, but step inside because he's got a reach advantage, but not like Mike Tyson hasn't dealt with opponents with reach advantage his whole career. But he not at 59 years old, right? So he has a reach advantage. He can jab, he can cross, and he might have the opportunity to win the fight. But Tyson, if it's me early, he's got to get inside and go to the body. Go to the body, and that should take care of that. You might be able to drop him with the body punch. If you don't get him and finish him up with the body punch, then you do the body punch, and then you go to the head, which we've seen Tyson do constantly. And again, he still has, he's got all the tools. He's still got the power. So that's my thoughts on it. I don't like this celebrity boxing stuff overall. I'm more of a boxing purist. I want to see fighters fight, not all these other people. But again, if having these other big name people, these celebrities, these influencers, whoever they might be, if you have them in the sport, then what it's going to do is going to bring more eyes. And hopefully those eyes that it brings will end up watching other people in the sport and become followers of boxing and help boxing to come back. Now, a big part of boxing, being in the spot it's in, and I'll just talk about this briefly before I get off. A big part of boxing being in the spot that it's in is what? The fact that these pay-per-views cost a ton of money, right? When I was growing up, they still had great boxing fights on ABC on Saturday afternoons, right? Ronald Jones, you keep talking about Tyson's age. Paul is not a real fighter. That's true. Paul is not a real fighter. I get that. However, at some point, Father Time has to catch up to you. He's 59 years old, right? That's like you thinking you could beat me. That could never happen. But anyway, he's 59 years old fighting a guy who's 27? Like he might not be a real fighter, but I think that's also something that can even the odds to some extent, right? So anyway, the issue with boxing, one, these pay-per-views are very expensive, right? You got big fights costing like $89 a pop, $79, $69, right? That's a lot of dough. And then you have the other issue is a lot of times we as basketball fans, as boxing fans, are not getting the fights we want when we want them, right? So we've seen, and I've talked about this constantly, we've seen first Floyd Mayweather Jr., and now we see Canelo talking about business decisions, right? I get it. Boxing is a business. There's a huge amount of money on the line for the major fights, but you're also in a situation where if the fans aren't getting what they want, they're not going to tune in, they're not going to pay, and you could be making even more money. This business of, I got this guy and he could be a great opponent, but I'm going to wait 4 or 5 years for him to get old, then I'm going to fight him. I'm going to fight him, but only under these conditions in this place. Like, man, cut that out. Like Roy Jones Jr. talks about it. He has a line in one of his rap songs. He says, I think it was Y'all Must Have Forgot, where he says, they say I fought nobody, but I made him look like nobody. And if you actually hear Roy Jones Jr. talk about his career, he's like, I never cared who they put me up against. I just told them, tell me when to fight. Make the fight, tell me when to be there, I'll be there. So this whole business of, I got to fight this guy at this time, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Man, stop manipulating the circumstances. Boxing is a gladiator sport. Boxing is a warrior sport. You have to have a certain mentality if you're going to be that, and do it, man. Do it. Stop manipulating things. I think people have more respect for the era of the four kings, Hagler, Hearns, Duran, and Leonard, right? Because all those guys fought each other. Does that mean they fought every single other person there was out there to fight? No, but they fought just about everybody, right? They weren't ducking guys. They weren't trying to manipulate the timing. They weren't trying to manipulate all the conditions, manipulate the officials, manipulate the location. These guys were like, yo, let's get it. As long as the contract is reasonable, let's go fight and see who's the better man. But this stuff guys are doing now, again, I believe Floyd Mayweather Jr. is a huge, huge part of that. I get it. It's a business, and he maximized the business aspect of it. Hey, shout outs to you, Floyd Mayweather. But at the same time, I think that imbued a wrong sense in a lot of the up and coming fighters. And now you see Canelo Alvarez doing it, and he's flat out saying, I'm the face of boxing. I can do what I want. And that's not cool. I don't respect that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with it. Real quick, if you're here in the chat and you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Also hit the share button. The share button is popular. We appreciate it. And the more people who like the video, the more it helps YouTube hit the algorithm and push the video out. Hit the like and subscribe button, please. Anyway, it's not that serious yet. You're 100% right, man. We are not living in the era of integrity, and we see it. We see it all the time in basketball. We talk about that. LeBron James and those guys, right? We talk about it in basketball. We just talked about it in boxing. We are starting to see some of the spillover from basketball now into football, and I hope that football doesn't ever allow it to get that way, because that's a real detriment to the sport itself. Mike Tyson over fake Paul. Yeah, I like that. What's good, Lemonade? Appreciate you coming in, man. Appreciate you. So I truly hope that this is not going to be a situation where we see it spilling over into all the sports. Again, you want athletes to be able to maximize their time to earn, because they're earning their time to earn all that money is very short. But at the same time, if you master your craft and do what you're supposed to do, everything else will come. I've always said that. If you master your craft and do what you're supposed to do, everything else will come. That's all. Focus on that. Be great, and the money will come, the endorsements will come, everything else, right? But if you focus on the wrong things at the wrong time and you play all these games, yeah, you might make money, but I think it's going to hurt you legacy wise in the long run too, right? All that stuff counts and comes together when you talk about when it's all over and you hang up the trunks or you hang up your boots or whatever it is. Ronald Jones says, have you seen how Tyson is training? Yes, I've seen how Tyson is training. I just showed clips of how Tyson was training. You're apparently not paying attention. I think Tyson is using this like a springboard for one big fight. No, I got to disagree. He's doing this because he's getting $20 million for this fight and because he knows he can probably beat this guy pretty easily. Mike Tyson at his age is not going to be able to beat any real quality fighter. That's not going to happen. He has skills, but again, father time, as we always say, is undefeated, especially in a sport like boxing. There's no way. First of all, he probably wouldn't get properly sanctioned for a real fight, right? He wouldn't get sanctioned because, like I mentioned earlier, Texas sanctioned the fight, but they did it with stipulations, right? Only allowing you guys to wear 14-ounce gloves instead of 10-ounce gloves, as normal heavyweights wear. 2-minute rounds instead of 3-minute rounds, as is normally the standard. 8 rounds instead of 10 to 12 rounds, as is normally the standard. So you have all these stipulations going on because Mike Tyson is almost 60 years old. He's not using this for one more big fight. Now, maybe he's using this obviously to get the 20 mil. And then maybe he's using this as more advertisement for his cannabis brand out in California. Like he's got a lot of business endeavors. If he looks good in this, I'm sure you'll probably see him pop up in some movie roles coming up here in the next year or two. So there's a lot of other things that can work, but I don't see it at all as a springboard for another big fight. I can't see that. That's just not going to happen. Lemonade Man Barker says, Fake Paul has zero merit to be in the same ring with him. He is not worthy to carry Mike's jockstrap. I agree. But again, the equalizer here, and I'm not saying Jake Paul is going to win. I'm saying if he were to win or if he were even to make it competitive, the equalizer is that age gap. That's all I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, 27 versus 59, that's a huge gap. It's not that serious, says. Also, they're trying to protect Jake Paul too. Yeah, I can agree with that. But at the same time, trying to box for 3 rounds, I keep going back to it, but when you're old, trying to box for 3 rounds cannot be easy. Now, obviously, I'm sure that Tyson is probably training at 4 or 5 rounds. I'm sure he is, but 3 rounds as it is can't be easy, right? So I don't know how many of you in the chat have ever boxed before, but trying to box for 3 rounds, even when you're young, is no joke, right? Not 3 rounds, 3-minute rounds, is no joke. When you consider the movement, when you consider trying to throw punches, when you consider trying to take punches and all of that, like when you consider in the physical strength that it takes when you're in the clinch to try and separate from the clinch or to try and maintain the clinch to hold someone so they can't hit you. Like all of those things take a lot of energy, and 3 minutes becomes a very long time when you're tired, right? I think we can all agree to that. Anyone who's ever played a sport or done anything physical, 3 minutes is a long time when you're tired. So, I mean, yes, they're trying to protect Jake Paul, but at the same time, I think they're trying to protect both of them. I don't know, man. The thing is, here's the other thing. I think Jake Paul needs to be careful about antagonizing Mike. Like it's one thing, okay, you're going to have a fight, and it is a fight. But if you piss that dude off, it's probably not going to be a good look. It's probably not going. And that was the thing that Roy Jones Jr. said. Like he was very careful with Mike, and he didn't push it too far. I mean, he said he was prepared in case Mike wanted to go and take it somewhere. He said, but at the same time, you don't antagonize that guy. Steve says, I run 4 miles 3 to 4 times a week, hitting the heavy bag for just 15 minutes straight, and I'm dry heaving. There you go, right? And running 4 miles 3 or 4 times a week, my time for doing that is long past, but I remember that was very tedious. That was tough on the body. When you can do that, that means you're in very good shape. But now you're talking about hitting the heavy bag for 15 minutes straight. Like that's just totally different. So now imagine when you're hitting the heavy bag, you're pretty much in the same location, right? You might be moving your feet around the bag, but the bag is not moving around the ring away from you, trying to avoid you. The bag is not clinching you. The bag is not punching you back, right? So all these things take extra energy. So all of that stuff, man, trying to do that, it's no joke. There you go. It's not that serious. I boxed and trained for 3 minute rounds once. It's no joke for absolutely. It's not a game. It is not a game. Doing martial arts, having to spar, for 3 minutes at a time, that's no joke. I've done that. So you look at that and you say, okay, cool. We get why at 59 years old, the Texas, I don't know what their authority is, but basically they're saying, okay, 2-minute rounds. We can't do 1-minute rounds, but 2-minute rounds is reasonable. So, yeah, we'll find out what it is tomorrow night. Lemonade Man says, I know the age thing is immense. I agree. I'm saying in Mike's day, he was I can't go with the best ever. He was a monster, but I can't go with the best ever. And Fake Paul would be on the canvas immediately. Fake Paul is a disgrace, even accepting the fight. I think that Jake Paul wanted that fight because he was looking for another guy that he could fight. I think his last fight prior to that was the Tommy Fury loss, right? If I'm not mistaken. So he was looking for someone else that he could fight that would have a big name, that would be something of a challenge, or maybe that he thought he could beat, right? So I think that he was the one that set all this up and asked Mike Tyson for the fight. So yeah, I think that's how that went. Steve Splendor, who do you think is the best ever? So I've thought about this a lot. I truly believe Muhammad Ali, prime Muhammad Ali. I'm talking he won the championship in 1963. I'm talking 1965 to about 1968. Muhammad Ali was just unbeatable in terms his foot speed, his hand speed, his movement. He had knockout power. He had everything. You couldn't hit him. He was just amazing. So I would say 1965 to 1968, Muhammad Ali is the greatest ever. But the guys that were older than me that know the sport better than I do, many of them would argue Joe Louis. I believe he's world champion for 12 years, I believe. Many people would argue that he was the greatest of all time, right? What I would like to see is if you could transport prime Mike Tyson back into the era of Ken Norton, Smoking Joe Frazier, young George Foreman, I guess an older Muhammad Ali. If you could transport Mike Tyson back into that era, and just having this discussion here with y'all and sitting here watching this, I'm thinking, not watching this, but discussing this with y'all, and I'm thinking the fight that I would love to see would have been Smoking Joe versus young Mike Tyson. They say styles make fights, but that's a weird one in terms of the styles. Both of those guys are really nonstop, come forward pressure fighters. And Ronald Jones, man, you keep saying dumb stuff, man. Prime Mike is not the GOAT, man. Sit down somewhere. Yeah, I would love to see prime Smoking Joe Frazier before George Foreman beat the brakes off of him. Like that prime Joe Frazier that beat Muhammad Ali, right? Prime Smoking Joe against prime Mike Tyson. I think that would be a really interesting matchup because, again, both of those guys are elite come-ahead pressure fighters. Joe Frazier was not backing down from anything. He just keep coming. But then Mike Tyson, just his incredible skill, speed, and power. I don't know. I think that would be great. I think that would be a great fight. I don't even know who would win. Then you got then you say prime Mike Tyson versus young George Foreman, like first-time champion George Foreman. That would be crazy because he was a wrecking ball. He was an absolute machine before Ali beat him. He was destroying everybody. So, there's guys that you would love to see Tyson match up against. Young Mike Tyson against champion Sonny Liston. Young Mike Tyson against prime Joe Louis. Like, there's a lot of dudes. Young Mike Tyson against prime Jack Johnson. There's a lot of dudes you would love to see Mike Tyson in his prime go up against. So I can't say that I feel like prime Mike Tyson was the best. I truly believe it was young Muhammad Ali, like prime Muhammad Ali. But Tyson, I think, would be entertaining against all those guys. Bruce says, prior to his arrest, Mike was the greatest show on earth. So he was for a minute, but I believe the Buster Douglas was prior to his arrest, right? So I think the problem was when Cuss died and then he got rid of Kevin Rooney and kind of moved away from, the training, Cuss's training regimen and the training team that he had that kind of was with him all the way through his rise and into the championship. And then obviously, a lot going on and the lack of discipline in the training and so on and so forth. But what's up, Bruce? What I'm tripping about, man? What I'm tripping about? You tell me. But yeah, he was nobody's saying that Mike wasn't a problem. I'm just saying, greatest show. I don't know. But I'm not mad. Let's see. The Lemonade guy says, I'm 57. I watched all these guys fight live. Tyson would have beaten them all, I truly believe. Foreman would have beaten Tyson, I believe. That would have been tough, Foreman and Tyson, man. But see, the only thing I say about that is, and that's a pick 'em, right? But the only thing I say about that is like Tyson, to your point now, Lemonade Man, Tyson beat a lot of bigger, powerful fighters, right? He beat Frank Bruno, he beat Bruce Seldon, he beat Razor Ruddock. You know, I guess like the only one he didn't beat in terms of the big guys with skill was Lennox Lewis. But I don't know, man. Foreman and Tyson, I think would have been great. Yeah, Laker Nation, we did see. Well, I saw it before I got on. Mike slapped, what's his name? He slapped Jake Paul. I like that. I thought it was funny. Mike's toughest fight was against Razor Ruddock. Yeah, man, him and Razor Ruddock, man, they went to it. They went to it. Stop it, okay, because he lost to Buster Douglas. All legends lose. Yeah, no doubt. But the only reason I brought up the Buster Douglas was not to denigrate Mike Tyson. It was because you said that before he went to jail, he was the greatest show. And I was like, well, the Buster Douglas fight was prior to that. But in fairness, I don't know if you were on when I said it earlier, Buster Douglas got away with that one too because he got a long count in that fight. If that count was, counted properly the way it should have, Mike Tyson would have won that fight by knockout, but it is what it is. Yeah, so Mike was that dude, man. It might sound like I don't want to give him love, and I do because I think he was incredible. Just like I said, watching the peekaboo style, watching the head movement, watching the brutal combinations, body head, and just how he moved, the footwork, all of that. He was incredible, no doubt about it. I don't know, man. It's really hard for me to pick anyone against prime Muhammad Ali. It's really hard for me. Let's see. Lemonade Man says, that's true. He was past his prime when he fought Lewis Holyfield and all the ones after. Yeah, no, that's correct. And, losing 3 years, being locked up, that's tough too. Like you can do all the working out in jail you want, but you're not actually fighting. Like you probably could be sparring and shadow boxing and running around and all that, but you're not actually fighting. So that's a little different. So I got you. He lost to Buster Douglas because he lost his trainer. He passed away prior to the fight. Who was that? Who was the trainer? Well, also Mike Tyson will tell you the other reason that he lost to Buster Douglas because he was barely training before the fight. That fight was in Japan. He got there early instead of training. He'd tell you he was hitting Japanese girls in the stairway and on the roof of the hotel where he was staying instead of training. So Mike was also wilding out. Bruce, 100% right. Ken Norton, toughest fighter ever, a complete savage. I don't know if he was the toughest fighter ever, but he definitely was a monster. Think he beat Ali the first time he fought him and broke his jaw. But then he lost the next 2 fights. I've seen them all. I don't know if maybe Ali got a friendly scorecard on one of those. I hate to say that because, he's Ali. But yeah, no, Ken Norton, he was definitely a problem. Janet Yellen, Mike gonna knock this clown out? No doubt. We'll see what happens. It's tomorrow night. I was saying earlier that if Jake Paul wants to win this fight, he's got to stay on his bicycle. He's got to move and let Mike get tired. Real quick, if you haven't already and you're in the chat, please go ahead, click that like and that subscribe on YouTube. Please click that like and subscribe. The more people click the like, the more YouTube pushes the video out via the algorithm. And the more people we get in the chat and the more it helps the channel. So I really appreciate y'all if you would do that for me. Larry Holmes, most underrated. Yeah, Bruce, you're probably right. He was super underrated because he wasn't sexy. And it's funny that you bring up Larry Holmes because I was saying earlier that if Jake Paul was a real boxer, what he would be trying to do, because he's considerably bigger and has more reach, would be trying to pump the jab into Mike Tyson's face for as long as he could in the fight tomorrow night. And then what you do off of that is you try to time the head movement and you catch him with a hook with the offhand over the top, right? Now, of course, that's easier said than done, right? But you pump the jab. Mike Tyson has a lead head movement, but you time it, then boom, you catch him with a hook, and maybe you got a chance there. But you stay on your bicycle, you stay outside, you pump the jab. You do not let Mike get inside and in-fight with you. He is one of the greatest in-fighters of all time. I think we can all agree on that. The richest and one of the smartest as well. Who's one of the richest and smartest, Bruce? But yeah, so I don't know, man. I just hope it's entertaining for however long it lasts tomorrow night. I hope it's entertaining. That's the thing. It's not that serious. Maybe Jake Paul is trolling with sparring to set Mike up. because what he's showing is trash. You're 100% right. I'm not seeing anything in the sparring. I'm like, are we for real? Meanwhile, Mike is like looking mean and brutal out there in the sparring. Larry Holmes. Yeah. No doubt. Like, and that was the whole point of the jab, right? Larry Holmes has one of the greatest, if not the greatest jab in at least heavyweight history, possibly boxing history. And he was known for consistently pumping that jab in his opponent's face. And, he tried to do that against Mike, but again, that was prime Mike. So that jab was only going to do so much. And what we saw what Mike did to him. Let's see. Lemonade Man, he was partying heavy in NYC prior to the Douglas fight. I lived in NYC. That's what's up. What part of New York, man? My father talked to Mike a few weeks before that night in the club. I met Mike in 2022. Great man he is. Oh, that's what's up. I used to live in NYC too. Lemonade Man. I used to live in Brooklyn in East Flatbush, but that's cool, man. Can Paul take a hard punch? Janet Yellen says. So I don't know. I don't think we've ever seen him have to fight somebody that could really hurt him. And so that would be Tyson. So we'll find out tomorrow, right? We will find out if Paul can take a hard punch. And again, if I'm Tyson, I focus on the body early. We heard Roy Jones Jr., one of the greatest to ever do it, say that freaking Mike Tyson hit him in the body and it was like getting kicked by a mule. So if Roy Jones Jr. says that, there's no way I believe that Jake Paul can take a punch to the body from, or pretty much to anything, can take a clean shot from Mike Tyson. I don't see it. Mount Vernon. Okay, that's what's up. Good stuff, man. Absolutely. Larry Holmes had the best jab. Yeah, he was known for that. He was known for that jab. And that jab beat up a whole lot of people. But, he was on his way out, and Mike Tyson was at probably his absolute peak, not, the top of his ascension. So, I mean, it was what it was. So I got Mike Tyson winning it. But there is a path to victory for Jake Paul. There's definitely a path to victory for Jake Paul. He just has to be smart and he has to be patient. He cannot allow ego to get involved. He cannot try to stand and fight with Tyson. He must use the Canelo Triple G model and be on his bike. He has to. And if he can get through the first 3 rounds, he's got a very legitimate chance of winning that thing. And I think Tyson knows that. So he knows he's got to get out there. He's got to cut the ring off. He's got to use angles, and he's got to counter well. But the thing is, I'm wondering, is Jake Paul going to be the aggressor early on in the fight? If I was him, I wouldn't be. Because if you try to be the aggressor, Mike Tyson is going to counter you, and he's going to counter you right to dreamland. Laro, what's good, man? The casual boxing fan is falling for the hype. I'm watching, but this is a clown show. No, so listen, I can see that viewpoint too. I can definitely see that vantage point. But I think a lot of us are, so Jake Paul has his fan base, right? Now, obviously he's a social media influencer, but I think a lot of us who are watching this fight are kind of reminiscing. Like, if you hear the way we're talking, we're reminiscing on the old days and what Mike Tyson used to be, and how he made you feel and what you remember from back then when he was an absolute monster, right? And so I think that's kind of what's happening here. And that's not necessarily the casual boxing fan. That's, nostalgia plays a role in sports. It really does. And so I think this is another situation where it is, especially when you see the training stuff that Mike Tyson is doing. Jeet Kune Do and karate. This is simply about making young folks respect their elders or the older generation like they're supposed to. Facts. Young generation always trying to erase older people like they never mattered. So that's the most interesting thing to me. And I'm not going to get on a soapbox about this, but I always talk about it. It's so weird how in certain sports, especially the NBA, but it seems like it's being pervasive in society overall. The disrespect to the previous generations is absolutely phenomenal, as if the previous generation did not pave the way for everything that the current generation is doing. It's like they believe they invented everything and everything they're doing is new and no one did anything before them. That's kind of weird to me, but I guess it is what it is. Steve says Jake Paul is everything wrong with society. Elaborate on that for me, Steve. Why do you think Jake Paul is everything wrong with society? I agree with you, but elaborate on it for me. Let's see. Lemonade Man says Jake is not a Sugar Ray Leonard or Floyd Mayweather. He can't fight by dancing. He's going to mix it up straight up. That's why the fight ends early, I believe. Mike by second or third max. I don't think he has to fight by dancing. I think he just has to be on the move. Be on the move, stop, throw a combination, get back out of range. Be on the move, pump the jab out, get back out of range. Be on the move, maybe engage just a little bit, throw a check hook, counter right, be on the move. Do enough to try and land something to make it look like you're not running the whole fight, but you have to be on the move because to your point, if he tries to stand there and mix it up straight up, not a good move. Not a good move. All right, let's do that. Yes, I'm going to put the number in the chat here. 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. It's also scrolling on the bottom of your screen. Let's go ahead and open up the phone lines. I'm loving the feedback you guys are giving me. Got a lot of great commentary here in the chat. So let's go ahead and take it to the phone lines. Give me a call. Give me your thoughts on this fight. Give me your thoughts on Jake Paul. You can give me your thoughts on the state of boxing on the whole. You can give me your thoughts on Mike Tyson. Should he be fighting at age 59? Whatever you want to talk about when it comes to boxing or this fight. Go ahead, give me a call, and can't wait to hear from you. All right, here we go. First one. Laro, what's good, man? Thank you for calling the Format Podcast.
Oh man, what's up, man?
What's good,
How you
brother?
doing? All right. First thing I will say is, at least it's free, bro. At
Facts.
least it's not something.
Yeah.
With your paid subscription to Netflix,
Right.
I think most of America has already. So
Mhm.
at least they're not charging some ridiculous price of $79.99 to watch.
That's
I
right.
would say that's cool, first of all, right? So, I'm actually going to the fight, right? Because
Okay.
I'm from Houston. I'll be in Dallas from Friday up until Monday night when the Texans play the Cowboys.
Okay.
Bro. So it's going to be like a little
sorry for you, bro.
for me and the family. Yeah. So, I mean, it's something to do, bro.
Yes, sir.
It's something to do. I mean, it's something I can always say that we did that.
Mm-hmm.
We went up there. We had fun with Dallas for a 4-day weekend. So, I mean, I think most people are going to tune in, regardless if you're going to catch the replay, regardless if you're going to watch it live. Look, man, I know people having fight parties about this. I'm like, dude, it's not that serious.
Yeah, that's a bit much, right?
But I mean, that's what people do for Floyd Mayweather started all this, right? So, when boxing fans just love the pomp and circumstance of a media darling or whatnot, or somebody who they love to hate. So most of our generation or whatever, they don't rock with Jake Paul or whatever, right? Because it's like the new social media prominence. Dude has 20 million subscribers on YouTube and the 30 million across TikTok. It's just like, okay, that's fine. And Mike Tyson, man, look, I don't even think I was in the second grade when Mike Tyson first started fighting, bro. So, but I do remember hearing about it.
Let's see. So he won his first championship, I want to say in 85 at 20 years old, right? And 1985, I was in second grade. So I wasn't in second grade when he started fighting, but I was in second grade when he won his first title. So, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you know what, Mike? One thing I don't want to see, and I'll let you go after this, I don't want to see Mike get hurt. Because I saw that Roy Jones travesty that happened a couple of years ago, whatnot. Man, that wasn't really exciting, whatnot, right? So I just don't want to. I would love to see Mike win, but truly, I don't think it's going to happen, man. Because sometimes I don't think Jake Paul actually would have took that fight unless he truly realized that he could beat Mike. Because
I think he thinks he can. Think about this. If he couldn't beat Tommy Fury, what makes him think he's going to beat Mike? You know what I'm saying?
Mike is 58 years old.
I mean, that's true. I'm with you. That's true. And I laid out what I believe is the path to victory, and that's be on your bicycle and survive the first 3 rounds, and then Father Time and stamina starts kicking in, and then you find out. But no, I think Tyson's going to beat him. I do. I don't know if he's going to knock him out like we would want to, but I think so.
That's the only way he's going to win, though. It's by knockout. Would you agree?
I think he's a much better boxer still than Jake Paul, so I think he can win on points. But I mean, 8 rounds is a long time when you're tired, but I think he can win on points, though.
All right, well, we'll see tomorrow night, man.
Yes, sir, we will. Bro. I appreciate the call, brother.
All right.
Good call from my man Laro as always. But yeah, no, Laro's got a good point in saying that he feels like the only way Tyson can win is probably by knockout. I just think that fatigue factor is definitely going to be real, but I think he's skilled enough of a boxer to land enough. And also, I believe that when he lands early, if he doesn't finish off Jake Paul is going to be so reticent to step in and deal with that power going forward. I think that you're going to have a real problem, and Jake Paul is going to try to avoid that the rest of the way. And so if he's trying to avoid the power, he's not going to be landing. He's not going to be the busier fighter, and that opens a way for Mike Tyson to win on points. That's what I think. DeAndre Kissack, anyone think it's rigged? Good to have you here. I think you're new. I have not seen you in the chat on any show I've done before, so I appreciate you stopping in. Please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. I appreciate you. Anyone think it's rigged? I hope not. I hope not as well, but you never know. It could be because there's a lot of money involved there. Roy Jones Jr., he said that, before the fight with Mike Tyson, they were kind of told basically, take it easy on each other. Don't go in. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you're new. Well, hey, I appreciate that. If you're a football fan, if you're a basketball fan, we talk about plenty of that as well. I normally have a couple other guys I do shows with, so make sure you check back with us. Hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell so you know whenever we're coming out with new shows. So we got a lot of stuff here on the channel, and you can go back through and search and watch what you want to watch. Anyway, yeah, I think that Jake Paul, once he feels the power, he is not going to want to engage the rest of the way. So if Tyson can physically survive in terms of the fatigue factor, then he can win all points. It's not that serious, Tez says. Yeah, I agree. Tyson hits that body, it's going to be a problem. I totally agree with you. Laker Nation, he hasn't fought anyone with Tyson's power. That is absolutely true. I said that earlier. Yeah, Tyson he's got to be able to get in there and land. That's the key. Steve, I love it. I love it. I hope Tyson beats JP like Notre Dame beat FSU. I love it, Steve. That's right. 52-3. Put him in a body bag. Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly, man. I'm with you. I think that would be fantastic. But yeah, I think, like I said, I just want it to be entertaining. That's what I want it to be. For however long it lasts, I want it to be entertaining. I don't think Jake Paul is truly going to give us much because I just don't think he's very good, plain and simple. But again, he appears to have some respect for the fight game because he trains hard and he trains with real fighters, I think down in Puerto Rico from what I've been told. So at the end of the day, we got to see what happens. I will give just another 2 minutes in case anybody else wants to call in. And then after that, I'll go ahead and shut this live down. Really appreciate everybody who stopped in tonight. Definitely thank you for showing the love. That's official. But yeah, so, yeah, Tyson, Jake Paul. I think on the undercard for that is Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano rematch too. So if you're into women's boxing, that was supposed to be one of the best women's fights of all time. So that's going to be on the undercard. So we'll check it out. JP has a solid right hand, which is Tyson's weakness. But the question is, Laker Nation, is Jake Paul going to have the heart to stand in there and deliver it? That's the problem, right? I don't think he's skilled enough to be able to use it as a counter. So is he going to be able to stand in there and deliver it as an offensive weapon? That's my question. I don't know. The number, Lemonade Man, is scrolling on the bottom, but I'll put it in the chat. 904-219-8264. 904-219-8264. Go ahead, save that in your phone. So you have it so you can call back next time you're watching the show. But yeah, it's always scrolling on the bottom, and I just put it in the chat. So we'll take that call and then we'll probably get out of here. But yeah, that's the question, Laker Nation. Is he gonna have the heart to stand in there and try to deliver it? Because I don't know if I would have the heart to be an aggressive offensive fighter against Mike Tyson, knowing the fire that's likely gonna come back. That's the problem. So yeah, he's got the right hand, but can he use it? You know what I'm saying? That's how we got to look at that. Yeah. All right, got about another minute here, so waiting for. Okay, let's see what we got. Format Podcast. Who's this?
Hey, Lemonade Man.
Hey, what's going on, Lemonade Man? How you doing, brother?
Good podcast. Good podcast. Yeah,
hey, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, brother. I watched Mike's fight, like pretty much all of them back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the same age as Mike, and like we all know, back in the day, he was just something. It wasn't a matter if he was going to win. You just were like, what round? It could be the first, second, or third.
Right.
And we all know he lost his weight, but just getting back to the Jake Paul thing. I understand why Mike's taking the fight, but in my opinion, I'm not trying to discredit Jake Paul at all, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to fight a guy like Mike Tyson, I kind of think you have to do it the right way out of respect for the sport and yourself and the fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking anything away from anybody, but like I say, if you're going to step in the ring with Mike, I kind of think you have to pay your dues a little bit. It just out of the respect factor. The only way I could see Paul winning is if he gets kind of lucky and he can drag the fight out. But
yeah.
If Mike goes in hot and heavy early, I don't think Paul's going to be able to withstand it.
Right. But see, the only thing I agree with you on all of that, except for one thing. You said Jake Paul, out of respect for Mike, you got to pay your dues. But if he pays any more dues, Mike is going to be more than 60 years old. Like, at what point is it no longer viable? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I agree. Say again.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. I hear you, and I agree in most cases, but not in this one, just because of how old Mike is.
Yeah, no. It's now or never. I understand that.
Yeah.
It's just it's the way I see it. I'm looking at it from the way I'm looking at it, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just I don't know. I mean, if Jake wins, what did he do? Right? He can't win no matter. If he wins, he beat an old guy.
That's right.
I mean, Mike wins. Even if Mike wins, he wins. If Mike loses, he wins. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
But I'm pulling for Mike. I met him in 2022 in Tampa. He's a really nice guy, and I had a great conversation with him. It was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
awesome.
He's a really nice guy. So I wish him all the best. And you know what? I hope he knocks him out. I hope he drops him within 2 or 3. I really do.
Me too.
I call him fake Paul.
I see that. I like it.
I'm coining that one, man.
Yeah, man. You need to put a copyright on that for sure.
All right, brother. Be good, man.
Hey, thank you for the call, man. I appreciate you.
You got it. Bye-bye.
All right. Deandra Kisak. So I think I like what Laker Nation says about the fight being staged to promote the fight. I think a lot of people are going to watch the fight regardless. It was just what I said about earlier was it was iffy to me because Jake Paul wasn't even on the stage and Mike Tyson's walking up and Jake Paul jumps up on the stage and like you don't jump out on a crazy person, right? Not saying Mike is crazy, but you kind of get the premise. Mike is a guy that has been known to react violently to different situations, right? So you don't jump out in front of this dude because you never know what he's going to do. Now, could it have been staged to push the fight? Yeah, probably. But I mean, again, it's not like it's a pay-per-view, right? I don't know how many people are going to go and purchase new Netflix subscriptions to watch this fight. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I don't know. I don't know that I would say that it was staged to push the fight. To me, it appears that Jake Paul lacks the proper respect for Mike Tyson. So it could just be that. But I guess we'll find out what it is. Let's see. I like Jake Paul, but I want Tyson to win. I don't feel like Jake should scale up like everyone else and earn it. Oh, I feel like Jake should. Okay. She says, that's what I was thinking. He did run up on him like crawling. I wouldn't like that either. Right. He just, he came out of nowhere and Mike like responded. And what got me was after Mike slapped him, he immediately took a step back, got his hands up and was in his stance. Like, that's a dude that still got it. That's a dude that's like, don't try it, So I thought it was interesting. Laker Nation says Mike is powerful. If that was a legit slap, it would have left a mark. Well, remember, Jake Paul grew out that big beard. So, I mean, we wouldn't see the mark anyway. So if there's anybody in the chat who legitimately boxed, this is something I find interesting, right? Jake Paul, he grew out this monster beard, and not to say he didn't have a beard before, but his beard, I think, is bigger than I've ever seen it for this fight. And it was kind of along the lines of when Canelo fought Triple G the first time, I guess, I don't know if he was wary of his power or whatever, he grew out a big beard as well. So I'm curious to know if anyone knows, is there any level of cushioning that having a large beard can provide for you in a fight? Because I had never seen Canelo with a big beard like that until he fought the first Triple G fight. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Might have to reach out to my man Marco on that. That's Marco Boxing. I'm probably gonna ask him about that because that's an interesting one. Yeah, that's I don't know. That's a thought. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Oh wait, G Kundo says yes, a beard should be shaved down as it is a cushion or padding to the face. I would think so, but I'm not sure if it's enough to provide any level of protection to a blow. That's what I'm curious about. DeAndre says, I don't know, but Mike could be dangerous having a beard to play with. He is unpredictable. Yes, Mike is definitely unpredictable. He's definitely unpredictable. All right, team, I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it for the night. Thank you so much for everybody who came in. Please, if you haven't already on the way out, click that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Click the like and subscribe and click the share button. It is powerful. All that stuff really helps us in the algorithm and helps YouTube push the video out to more people. So thanks again. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Got tons of good sports content on here, whether you're a football fan, a basketball fan, a boxing fan. A while back, I even talked a little soccer. So it just depends on what it's going to be. But that's what I got. And we'll be back. My guys and I, Saturday night for the normal Saturday night show. And that'll be at 7 p.m. And we out. Peace.